Thank you, Laura. I see Mr. Waxer has just joined us, so we won't, Frank, thanks for joining us. We won't dawdle. We know you've stepped out of a presentation to join us. So at this point, I would say that we'll need a call to order from Mr. Thompson.
I'd like to call the meeting to order.
All right, now we'll take a quick roll. Mr. Thompson?
Here.
Mr. Tibbs?
Here.
Mr. Wagster?
Here.
Thank you. Maria, do we need a statement of necessity?
Yes, and I will make it very quick. This is a specially scheduled meeting of the Tennessee Board of Architectural and Engineering Examiners Architect Committee taking place by electronic means utilizing the WebEx teleconference application on Monday, April 26, 2021. Notice of this meeting was properly posted to the board's website. Because there is not a physical quorum present, a statement of necessity is read into the record and filed with the Tennessee Secretary of State as required by statute. Pursuant to TCA 844-108B2, if a physical quorum is not present at the location of a meeting of a governing body, then in order for a quorum of members to participate by electronic or other means of communication, the governing body must make a determination that a necessity exists. That determination must include a recitation of the facts and circumstances on which it was based. Further, TCA 844-108A3 defines necessity as matters to be considered by the governing body at that meeting, require timely action by the body, that physical presence by a quorum of members is not practical within the period of time requiring action, and that participation by a quorum of members by electronic or other means of communication is necessary. The purpose of this meeting with members attending by teleconference is to discuss time-sensitive information surrounding proposed legislative changes, as well as in-car voting members. The WebEx teleconference application is being utilized in order to provide the most safe manner of the meeting due to COVID-19. All voting will be conducted by roll call.
Thanks, Maria.
Thank you.
Okay, are there any changes to the agenda? Okay, hearing none, then Maria, why don't we go ahead and go right into the legislative proposals?
Great, thanks, Michael. So I hope all of you received this over and on Friday and had a chance to review it. Frank, I know you responded on email, so I appreciate that. So basically, I just updated as we discussed at the last meeting to include reference to the standard building codes as currently approved by the state fire marshal, and we're taking out the 1985 language. So Brian and Rick, I don't know if you guys had any concern with that, or if you're ready, to move forward on it.
No, I've reviewed it, and I may just have a couple of questions as we go through it, just a little bit. But if you want to go ahead and address anything you want to address, then I'll just ask the questions. They're more. It's not necessarily a change. It's just something for clarification for me that I don't know if the other members have any questions regarding that. But I can wait if Frank, you or Brian would like to say anything.
Yeah, Maria, I just wanted to make sure you did make the revisions that I sent you, changing from saying it's the standard building code to the international building code.
Okay.
And I think it would sound better if it said currently adopted by the state fire marshal.
Okay, got that.
And is that, Frank, you're talking about as those occupancies, and then that's where that is currently adopted? Because I haven't seen anything.
Yes, that's where it says, as you read through the text that's there now, that we're not changing those classifications that are less than 3 stories in height or less than 5,000 square feet. Do not require architects and engineers to prepare the plans.
Yeah.
As it stands now. Yeah, the main thing we're changing is that originally, as you can see what's marked out in red, it says you go to this 1985 edition of the standard building code to find out how those occupancies are defined. Yes. And in the International Building Code has a much better breakdown of those occupancies and definition of the occupancies
Right,
than the
right.
85 standard building code.
Yeah,
And so that's the main thing we want to change.
yeah, we talked.
All I was wondering, and I don't know, maybe legal could help with this, but be interested, Rick and you and Frank, would we be better to make it a little bit more general, the code adopted by the state, as opposed to calling out International Building Code, just in case sometime they change that? Or do you think if they change it, we need to go change the law again?
Yeah, I thought about that, Brian. I think we're best to put the International Building Code in there, and then if for some reason in the future the state goes to another set of building code documents as a model, I think we need to change the law again.
Okay, we revisited that time.
I just don't see that happening in the next 15, 20 years for sure.
Yeah, I agree. I just wondered about that.
Yeah, I thought the same exact thing, and then I thought, well, this code isn't going anywhere, not for a while. So yeah, IBC is what we want in there.
Okay.
Right.
So I have those changes made. Is there anything else that you guys wanted to go over on this?
I guess one other thing, and we might yay or nay this, but where you've marked out, where it says as those occupancies are, and you marked out are, I'd almost think you'd leave are in. It'd be as those documents are defined in the International Building Code.
Yeah,
Okay.
as or are would work.
Okay.
Occupancies are defined or occupancies as defined in by or in the IBC. So.
Got it. Okay, I've made those changes.
Other than that, that's about it.
All right.
Now, I will say that our Tennessee Board of Architects and Engineers guidelines will need to change accordingly whenever this is passed.
Certainly, yeah, and we'll just wait until to make sure this gets picked up and passed before, but we will certainly update, the handbook or the policy surrounding this once it gets approved.
Right.
Not to try to cloud it up. I'm just curious, Frank, Brian. The structures classified. Are we still fine with business, factory, industrial, hazardous, mercantile, residential, storage? Are those all good? To leave in there like that? I'm just asking the question.
Yes. Yeah. Those are the only ones that somebody is allowed to prepare the plans without being registered, as long as they're less than 3 stories in height and less than 5,000 square feet.
Right. Okay. Yeah. I mean, the less we change, the better. We're just updating the code requirements or definitions.
Yeah.
That's right.
I think some of that's another day, but yeah, I think let's just stick with this.
I'm good with that. I'm really good with that. So.
All right, great. Well, I will have these submitted, and I'll keep you posted on the updates on those as I, receive them.
Okay.
So are you going to send those out to us as modified before you submit? So if we have any comments, we can look at them.
Certainly.
Marie, do we
And
need
if we
to
do-
entertain a motion for acceptance as modified?
We can do that. Yeah, I'll try
Can
and
we
get a
read that
motion.
can we read that into the record?
Sure. I'll go ahead and read that. So I have, it's TCA 622102B1, and it's going to read structures classified as business, factory, industrial, hazardous, mercantile, residential, and storage occupancies. If those occupancies are defined in the International Building Code currently adopted by the state fire marshal, that are, and then it will go through what's already existing in the statute. We're striking defined in the 1985 edition of the Standard Building Code.
Right.
Sounds good to me. Frank?
Yes, that sounds good to me. If we need a motion, I'll move that we accept those revisions.
Got a motion?
Yep, and I'll second that.
Have a motion and a second.
All
Any
right.
Any further discussion? Michael, do you want to call the vote, or shall I?
I'll do it. Thank you, sir. Mr. Thompson,
Yes.
Mr. Tibbs,
Yes.
Mr. Wagster.
Yes.
Motion carries. Thank you, gentlemen. I believe the next item up for discussion, this was not on the printed or sent out agenda, but it's the NCARB voting, and I believe that Mr. Thompson has traditionally done the NCARB voting, and if that's all right with you all, I will fill out that paperwork to reflect that Mr. Thompson will be the delegate.
This is Frank. That sounds good to me.
Yep, I agree with that as well.
Okay, Maria, I don't believe we need a vote for that, do we?
So the NCARB form requests, I mean, it says that there is a vote that has to take place. I don't know, that's what their language says.
Okay, well then we will do it. I believe can we use Mr. Wagster's agreement as the motion and Mr. Tibbs' agreement as the second? Or do we need somebody to actually say I make a motion?
This is
for the
Frank.
record.
I make a motion that Rick Thompson be our representative for voting on the NCARB issues.
This is Brian Tibbs. I second that motion.
Okay. Is there any further discussion? All right, Mr. Thompson,
Yes.
Mr. Tibbs,
Yes.
Mr. Wagster.
Yes.
Okay, that carries as well. Mr. Thompson, I'll be in touch if I need any further information from you, but I believe I have everything.
Okay, thank you.
And with that, gentlemen, I think I had relayed this was going to be a quick meeting. We don't have anything on the agenda further to discuss. So we can entertain a motion to adjourn, should you like.
Could I ask one question real quick? I think when we talked last time, we were sort of waiting on the state or the governor to consider travel, out-of-state travel. Is any progress on that?
There is not, however, we expect, and you know, the executive orders, again, they don't expire until the end of this week, but we expect beginning in May that we will start holding some form of meeting in person. I believe people are still working out what that looks like and how to incorporate the virtual aspect of it. And of course, in-building attendance, you know, with spacing is being worked on. So I would expect to have some sort of announcement regarding that coming up soon. Out-of-state travel has not been mentioned, but in-state travel is good to go.
So, but is out of state, is it specifically addressed? I just haven't seen it. I'm just asking that question.
Sorry, go ahead.
Specific language to out-of-state travel, restricting that.
My understanding, and Maria can correct me if I'm wrong, but when these executive orders expire or they're not renewed, then everything would go back to the way that it was previous to operation under these executive orders. If there is a lighter version of an executive order that is that the governor's office puts out, it may contain language about out-of-state travel. But at this point, I haven't heard anything about out-of-state travel yet.
Okay, just curious, and just in the event that the NCARB meeting stays on track. So.
Okay. Yeah, I know there's a bunch of organizations throughout the programs that I work with that are planning for second half of the year in-person meetings. And, I think everyone's going to be in a scramble when it comes time to get paperwork in. So when that announcement comes down, I know there's a I say lengthy just because of the process and all the approvals that it has to go through, but I know there's a process that has to go through for travel approval. So as soon as I know something, I will let you all know, and then we can start working on paperwork.
Okay, very good. Thank you. All right. Do we need a motion to adjourn if there is no other business?
We would certainly entertain one.
So moved.
Second.
We have a
All right.
motion and a second.
No
This is
vote
Frank.
no vote is required for this one.
I
Thank you,
think we're all
gentlemen.
in agreement.
All right.
Thank you. Have a great week.
You as well.
Bye, y'all. Have a good one.
All right.
All
Bye.
right. Thank you.